Hi, Rishi here. As Prime Minister, I'm focused on delivering your priorities. So tonight, I'll be on the road to join GB News for a special People's Forum, where I'll be taking questions from a live audience about the issues that really matter to you: the economy, immigration, the NHS. See you there.
Front pages on this Monday morning. Here's how they stack up.
The Daily Telegraph leads with the Defence Secretary Grant Shapps criticising woke culture in the army.
Times says that water company bosses causing pollution will be banned from receiving bonuses so that they can spend more on cleaning up the nation's waterways.
The Guardian reveals that international students are pushing to clear their name over English test cheating.
Daily Mail criticises Labour for backing up a candidate who blamed Israel for Hamas's attack on the 7th of October.
And The Sun leads with the King's first outing since his cancer diagnosis.
Now, here in the studio, we've got Dawn Neeson and we've got Christopher Biggins to debate those stories and more. And another front page, which we didn't show, which I'm going to come to in a second, is that on Saturday night, I was switching on my television and there was Porridge on BBC Two and... What's his name?
Ronnie Barker?
Fletcher.
Ronnie Barker?
Ronnie Barker.
Yeah.
Genius, absolutely brilliant.
Genius, yeah.
But sharing the billing with them and half the plot was Christopher Biggins. And I was very... You must have been about 14 in that.
No, I was about 24, funnily enough, I think. I was very young, but it was a great series to be involved in.
Very, very good. He was so good. He was
wonderful. And also Richard Beckinsale.
Yes.
You know,
his daughter Kate is devoted to me.
Oh, is she?
She is, yeah.
She?
Yes. What do you mean, is she? Do you not look at my Instagram account? Sends me all these messages. And
does she?
She had her tongue in my ear.
Oh, excuse me, please.
New Year's Eve. It's there. It's all there. It's at Eamonn Homes. It's there. Go and have a look at it.
By the way, what you were talking about earlier, I would go to Australia.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, but not staying in this country. Where we're going to live.
Australia's lovely, but it's far away.
Yeah, that's wonderful, though. That's marvellous. It's a way for everything.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a wonderful country.
Do you not need friends? Do you not need a bit of history?
Yes. The odd kangaroo we could get together with.
Well, but then not only... I was watching BBC Two, then I flicked to Channel 5.
And there we both were.
There we both were.
Yeah.
On Tribute to Dad's Army, which is another magical series. Yeah. But then on my Instagram account, up pops this. Have a look. There we are. There's Biggins. Julian Tailforth and Biggins. So that's the front cover of the TV Times of the day. So what was the show? It
was called On Safari, and my catchphrase, which I came up with, was "Safari so goody."
Oh. So far, so goody.
Yeah, and
like your registration plate.
I know, big one, exactly, and how true that is. And what is interesting is that when we were talking about it, I said I just did a comedy series with Julian Tailforth, and she's the funniest girl ever.
She looks so good there.
And I said, honestly, we got to have her as my girl Friday, and they agreed. So she was wonderful. She is wicked.
I like your outfit there, Biggins.
It's good, isn't it?
Have you still got that outfit, Biggins? Are you still wearing that at weekends?
Right, Dawn, let's talk about the Defence Secretary. So he's talking about woke cultures.
Yeah, this is Grant Shapps has come out and said resources are being squandered promoting political agenda rather than actually sorting out the recruitment crisis we have, the lack of equipment we have, the fact that we've only got 2 warships but not enough staff to actually man them, and the fact that we have got conflict in the Middle East and in the Ukraine. But we are worrying instead about diversity and pronouns. And this is a leaked document that has come out called the British Army's Race Action Plan. And it notes that the Army is struggling to attract talent from ethnic minority backgrounds into the officer corps. Yes, they're struggling to attract people from any backgrounds, to be honest with you. And we don't know how much time and money is being wasted on this, but you know what, Ellie? I would rather someone be able to fight for this country. I don't care what pronouns they use. I would rather they have the equipment they need and the capability to defend this country. Because while we're worrying about pronouns and whether we're ticking all the right boxes, you can bet your life Putin isn't.
Well, the state of our world right now, you would think that our country should be doing everything in its power, really, to have a credible fighting force that our opponents fear.
Absolutely. I mean, they were talking the other day about conscription, because I think they're slightly worried. Of course, that's a very worrying thought. That our nearest...
We're too old for it, don't worry.
Thank God we are.
Not affect us.
We could be the new...
Dad's Army.
Dad's Army, exactly.
You already mentioned that one.
Yeah.
But you know what? Given the fact that we're ticking all these boxes, politically correct boxes, ageism could be one, so I wouldn't hold your breath on you two being called up, to be honest with you.
But Dawn...
And women will be called up as well?
I'm there, Al.
I'd be no good.
Everybody complains about woke culture, but somebody has got to instigate it. Somebody's got to put the stuff on the statute books, and that goes back to government, and it goes back to local councils, and it goes back to authorities like the NHS and whatever. So somebody's doing it. Everybody complains about it. Just stop creating it.
Well, exactly. I mean, I don't know where this is coming from or how much it's costing, because those facts are actually missing from the story. This was around at the weekend, and it's obviously front page of the Telegraph today. And, you know, Shapps is getting very angry at it, but, I mean, it has to be coming from someone, as you say, connected to government.
Is that society? Is that what they think people want?
Well, I mean, but isn't this like people these days permanently getting offended on your behalf, Ellie? It's like, you know, it's not me getting offended because you've misgendered me or, you know, you've been nasty about a middle-aged woman. I'm not offended. I don't care. It's people getting offended on someone else's behalf. Most people in this country just want an army that does its job.
Yeah.
It's a tiny minority, though, of people, isn't it, who push...
Well, we don't know. We don't. They're the ones that hold the power because they're the ones that listen to. I mean, if you want to be cancelled on this programme, we could all say something inappropriate, which we don't know to be inappropriate, and you're gone.
Yeah.
But listen to this. Here, the distinguished actor Ralph Fiennes, right, who plays M in the Bond films, he says... He talks about trigger warnings, and he's saying there are very disturbing scenes in Macbeth, for instance, but I think the impact of theatre should be that you're shocked and you should be disturbed. I don't think you should be prepared for these things.
No.
When I was young, we never had trigger warnings for shows. So what do you think about, you know, before you go and see Macbeth or whatever, that there is a trigger warning before?
I don't want to hear about trigger warnings. I mean, I know what I'm going to go and see.
Yeah.
I know about Shakespeare, and I know what the play's about. And but I don't want to be told what I can or can't see. I want to make up my own mind.
What is the point in wrapping youngsters up? I mean, I'm assuming this is aimed at youngsters in cotton wool.
Yeah.
When the real life is not like that. Real life does not come with a trigger warning.
No.
Real life can be nasty. People can be nasty. You're going to have to face all of this at one point. So being warned that you can't... I mean, we've had warnings on kids' TV shows as well. You know, you might get upset by this. Well,
there maybe should be trigger warnings for bosses of utility companies, Biggins, and this is a bonus ban which will be implemented for the heads of water companies.
Well, this is really good news, I think, because, I mean, over the last 4 years, they've taken £26 million in bonuses. And it's ridiculous. I mean, you know, that money could have done so much.
Well, invest it into the waterways.
Exactly, investing into the water, which are in an appalling state. I mean, you know, and they just sit there. They must be on a salary, and then they take enormous bonuses.
For what?
For what?
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
so it's great that this has come...
You know, one thing I've noticed this winter, it has been wet. It's a very, very wet winter.
Yeah.
How long will it be before we've got hose pipe bans?
Oh, absolutely.
What, April or so?
Yeah.
And my point, Dawn, about that is there's definitely not the investment there should be into the waterways, into digging holes in the ground called reservoirs and holding this water.
Well, absolutely. Why not? You know, the £26 million in bonuses that the water companies paid themselves, why not invest some of that into the infrastructure that gives us clean water and takes the dirty stuff away rather than pumping it into our rivers and our seas? It's not rocket science.
I was looking at a programme last night about ancient Rome, And they
This
were
wasn't one Biggins was in, was it?
And that was like Claudius.
that should have had a trigger warning.
You should.
But basically, they were talking about how the Romans had instigated and built a whole structure of sewers under Rome. But what I did notice is that everything everywhere just poured into the Tiber. It all went into the river. But I was thinking, that's more than 2,000 years
Exactly.
ago we're talking.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem to be much
We haven't moved on.
No.
Yeah.
We haven't moved on. What gets me is they are allowed to put a certain amount of raw sewage into our rivers and sea. How is that a thing?
As long as they warn people.
Yeah, as long as they warn people. How are you even allowed to put a little bit in there?
Yeah.
In 2024. Do you know the last time a reservoir was built in this country?
When?
1991.
It's a disgrace.
Over
Disgraceful.
30 years ago.
Nearly
Remarkable,
40
isn't
years
it?
ago.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know what you think about that one. gbvs@gbnews.com. Dawn, let's have a look at the English test scandal, shall we, on the front page of The Guardian.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a Guardian story, obviously. It's on the front page of that newspaper, Dawn. But they're comparing it to the post office scandal, OK? The fact that overseas students 10 years ago now were involved in potentially a miscarriage of justice where they were accused of cheating in the exams they had to take to prove their grasp of English language was good enough to come and study in this country. Now, there were some that were involved in dodgy tests, but they seem to have spread it out so that 35,000 students were then accused. Many were thrown out of the country and indeed off their courses. Now, this is all going back to an inquiry again, and sort of like, you know, the students are demanding an apology and, in some cases, the right to come back here and study again. Horrible experience, right, if you're innocent and you passed your test and you're studying over and suddenly you're thrown out of the country. Horrible experience, but this does not compare, I'm sorry, to the post office scandal. There's no comparison.
Well, they're not facing criminal charges.
No, exactly.
Put in time in prison,
absolutely.
Yeah.
They're not in prison. 4 people took their lives over the post office thing, and no one has said sorry for it yet. Remember? No. So it's a good story, and you feel sorry for the students involved that were genuinely accused wrongly. However, there's no comparison.
I'm looking, and there's quite a lot of stories today, either about romance or hygiene, and some of them combine here. Dawn,
Where's he going with this?
Taylor Swift. We were talking about Taylor Swift flying to the Super Bowl. So tell people what happened to her, what was quite embarrassing.
Honestly, I don't know how this woman copes. I mean, I'd have been so stressed out. Right, OK. So Taylor Swift was flying from her gig in Japan to Las Vegas for last night's Super Bowl to see her boyfriend play. And in her private jet, evidently the toilet wasn't working properly.
Oh, dear.
Get this, first world problems, right? The electric seat wouldn't come down properly. The flush wasn't as powerful as it should have been.
No.
Oh, but it was still flushing.
It was still flushing, but just not as powerful. I mean, come on, Ellie, where's your empathy here?
Well,
I mean,
my empathy would
Very
be
tough.
if it didn't flush away what was deposited. That would be a bit embarrassing, wouldn't it? Who was in here before me?
Taylor Swift wants it.
Now, listen to this, right, Biggins? The Mirror is reporting today that poor personal hygiene is a top turn-off for women. I can understand that.
Yeah,
and
so can I.
bad manners a top turn-off for men. What I don't understand is why men are happy to put up with
Smelly women.
Yeah, smelly women.
Well, they're not. I mean, that's a ridiculous statement in the paper today. Anything, any sex, whatever you are, a smelly person is not.
Oh, it's the worst.
It's the worst.
Worst.
I mean,
Bad breath.
The worst.
Well, let's go a bit further.
Awful.
Yeah.
Let's go a bit further down. I mean, you know, just that horrible. Yes, all right. I'm not going to
Feet.
Yes.
Feet.
But anything, you know, and there are people who don't shower every day.
Do you know, I'm like Prince Andrew from the point of view that
Where's this one going?
my feet don't smell.
Nor do mine.
Your feet don't smell.
Nor do mine.
I could genuinely wear socks for 2 weeks in a
And
row
me.
and it wouldn't
Really?
make...
And me.
Honestly.
I'm exactly the same. I smell my socks every day.
Yes.
And there's
Nothing.
Nothing.
Perfect. It's
Perfect.
amazing because, I mean, because I've 4 other brothers, smelly pigs.
Oh, yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. But it doesn't seem to affect me at
No,
all.
isn't it odd? I mean,
you
nor
two
me.
aren't smelly
We're very
pigs.
lucky.
Oh.
But you've got to, I think, whatever you're doing, I mean, you don't even think, oh, I'm going on a date, I must have a shower. You just are clean every day.
And you feel better for it.
Oh, much
Yes.
better.
Yeah, if you ever go a day
Yeah.
or for some reason you can't shower for a while or whatever it is, it's awful.
Yeah. I mean, last week we spent a couple of nights in a hospital with a loved one who was on a trolley, so we were literally up all night. But the next day, Eamonn, you're right. You've not slept, so you're feeling rubbish in any case. But you actually feel that, and you haven't cleaned your teeth either, and that's the worst thing.
I know.
Yeah.
So how people just don't do that? They don't clean their teeth every day or have a shower.
I don't like
isn't it?
baths, I have to say.
Oh,
Well,
big into
there's a reason
no,
because you and I look, it's been 20-odd years since I've been in a bath.
And me.
Because you and I can't get in and out.
No, that's the problem.
That's the trouble.
Yeah, I mean...
Do you ever think of getting one of those ones
No.
that have a little lift? You can sit in a seat. Apparently, you can sit in a seat.
I know.
It moves you sideways.
I know, no.
No?
What's that thing like? Neil keeps asking me to ask you, will you put your feet on something?
That's about stimulating.
Yeah, is that good?
Circulation, but anything that stimulates your circulation, getting to your...
I'm not going near your feet. You don't change your socks for 2 weeks.
But it's what is it called? Neuropathy.
Yeah.
People, as they get older, have this tingling in their fingers
Yeah.
or feet or whatever it is, and anything that keeps your...
Does it help?
well, I found yes for what I need. I can't talk about these things. These are adverts.
Oh, right. See, I'm sorry. Okay.
But what about manners for you two then? Because apparently it's manners that are the top turn-off for men. If someone's rude, doesn't matter if they're smelly, but it does matter if they're rude.
No, I quite like a rude person.
Do you?
What about people who snap their fingers at waiters?
Oh, no. That's totally... I can't have that. I've told people off if I've seen someone I don't know in a restaurant snap their fingers.
They say that the way you treat a waitress says everything about you as a person.
Yeah.
You know what? Why don't we just all treat people the same, right? It doesn't matter
Well,
what job
exactly.
you do, whether you're the old cliche, whether you're the CEO or whether you're the person cleaning the toilets. Just treat everybody.
Well, you're a very nice person.
But they don't. People don't, though. People treat people appallingly.
I know.
I hate that
Absolutely.
attitude.
And the other thing I can't bear is you go to a restaurant, you see a man and a woman go in, and the man takes the banquette looking out, and the woman has to look at the wall. I absolutely go mad at
You
that.
think that's a selfish thing?
Yes, I do think it's a selfish thing. I think the woman should always...
I went to a restaurant last week and I did just that. And I thought, this is a bit selfish. And then I thought, stuff it, why not?
Were you with your wife?
No, I did think about this. I've got a more interesting
I
view.
had the comfy seat.
Yeah.
You had the booth side.
But also had the view.
You had the view.
I quite like Dawn. Do you know what I like? I like sitting in a restaurant, and especially if you look out that way and the window's there, and you can see people walking up and down the street. It fascinates
You're a
me,
people watcher.
watching.
People watching is very interesting. Personally, I just like sitting and gazing at my husband, so I don't...
Oh, Dawn.
Dawn, you're being so cute today.
Valentine's this week, come on.
She's feeling the love.
Eamonn gave one of those looks. Oh,
No, I know it's a bad day for her. Six goals.
Do you know?
It's a bad day. It's a bad day.
Don't.
Yeah, I know. That's a...
What happened there, Dawn?
I don't know. I was working, thankfully. It was my niece's boyfriend, who's a gooner. It was his birthday, so she took him in my seat instead.
Yeah.
So he,
Bad luck.
as an Arsenal fan, had to sit and watch 6 goals go in the West Ham end.
Yeah.
And sit on his hands. My niece wasn't happy.
Well, look, thank you both very much indeed. That's the initial take from Chris and Dawn on some of the stories making the news today. They're going to be back in about 45 minutes' time to do it all
Thank
over
you very
again.
much,
Thank
both
you
of you.
very much indeed.
And just on the best places to live, because Eamonn was talking about that
yes.
this morning.
Where would you
3
move to?
of the worst places for crime are in the UK. So we're saying, where would you move to? Paul says he would choose to live in Hawaii. He's been there 3 times, very low crime rate, great weather, very friendly people.
Yes, but you've got those...
Volcanoes.
Yes.
You've got that to contend with, haven't
Yeah.
you? Jimmy says he lives in Cyprus. He moved here from Northern Ireland. The weather is so good and he's loved it since. So do keep them coming in. Let us know where you would like to live. In the meantime, let's get the weather update here in the UK with Jonathan Bawntry.